First, I'm using this because we have already created that grid, and we will make the most of this grid. Because when we're working with this massing and modeling, we can be as free as we want. But if we abide by a grid, I think it's everything is easier. Then we can be free to create the shape that we want. But at least we make sure that the shapes that we are doing or we are drawing are matching this grid, and then everything is under control. So here we have A, B, C, D, F. I'm going to start creating a very simple shape in grid A and grid F, and and then we will do something more complicated. So here, if I'm using the 3D model, you know that we have to use massing and site, in place mass, and the first thing I have to do is to set the working plane. I will set it at grid A. So I'm going to create only two shapes, grid A and grid F. So I will use grid A, and I'm going to do something very simple, just a line like this. And then on grid set again, grid F.
Are you recording?
Sorry?
You're recording?
I think I am. Yes, I am recording. So I'm going to create another line like this. And then on the 3D view, okay, so we have this line on grid A, this line on grid F. Very simple model. Then we modify, select both, and we create a solid form. This is it. But we're going to do something that we didn't do last time. We're going to use these tools. So we use this, create form. But here you know that we can divide surface. So let's do this, divide surface. And by default, we have U and V grids. Okay, so the U grid is in one direction and the V grid is in the other direction. I never remember where, well, but we will find out. And by default, we have 10 by 10. So we have created like squares, 10 by 10. And we can change this. If we change the U number, for example, 5, now it's different. We have 10 lines in this direction and 5 lines in that direction. And so we can always edit the number if we want 20. Okay, so we can always edit this number. Let's keep it simple, and for this exercise, we're going to use 10 and 10. And 10. There you go. And now we can use this pattern to adapt a family. And this is what we're going to do now. We're going to create a family because this is, well, this is plain. It doesn't have a thickness. You remember that we can create a thickness using, well, we can finish the model.
Hey, Angelo, how'd you get the grid on?
Okay, let me do it. If you click on the mass, then you will have this menu, and then you can create the grid there. Okay. So you can finish the mass, and then if you want to edit this mass, you can click here, edit in place, click the mass again, and then you have all these lines here. But I didn't want to show you this. So let's finish mass. So remember that when we were going to assign a material to that element, which is, it doesn't have any thickness. So it's just, it's not a plane, but it's a shape floating in the middle of nothing, and it doesn't have any thickness or any width. If we want to do that, we can always create a roof, massing and site, and create a roof or wall. Then if we click here and create roof, then we have a thickness, and then we can edit this roof, and then we We can generate all the layers that we need, the thermal insulation, all that stuff. Okay, so that's a way to work with this massing and modeling. We create a mass, and then we generate the roof, and that's it. But today we're going to do something different. We are going to create a roof with those structural lines and with the glass panel in the middle. So we're going to create like a glass roof. And where did I take it from? I don't know. I always copy things that I know. And what do I know? I know the British Museum by Sir Norman Foster. So I don't know, when I was, no, I wasn't a student. I was a young architect, and he came up with this, and we were all, oh, we want to do something like that. It's how can he do this? Well, I'm sure that back in, I don't know when it was built, but the British Museum has been there forever. But Norman Foster created this, connected different buildings using this roof. So this is kind of what we are doing now. It's a parametric roof made of aluminum bars and glass. We always copy things, and I remember that in Madrid, in my city, we had a nice building, and our brilliant architect decided, why don't I copy Norman Foster? And he did it. Madrid. And no, Palacio de Correos. Okay, there you go. So we had this nice 19th century building, and basically they copied Norman Foster. Okay, so they created the same La Catedral Municipal. Okay, so copying, it's fine. I mean, we are not inventing the wheel here, and creating this kind of roofs, it's something good nowadays. We can do that, and especially for refurbishment or of old buildings, we have a lot of problems with these kind of old buildings. If we protect the old building with something with a roof like this, it works, and there's a contrast between the old architecture and the modern architecture, and this contrast always works well. Okay, where does it come from? So it's not that Norman Foster invented these kind of things and a guy in Madrid then copied Norman Foster. Everything comes from Galleria Vittorio Emanuele in Milan. Okay, so was this the first one? I don't know, but this is in Milan, so the most expensive shops in the world are here. And some guy in the I think it was in the 19th century, he decided that, okay, so this is a nice building, but what if we create a roof like this and a dome made of glass and steel? Okay, so this is an old idea, and now we have different technology, and we are adapting the same idea to different technologies. This is not a parametric design, by the way, because back in the 19th century, they didn't have Revit, but they had other tools, and they had a new technology, and they created this. And it's something that now all the European cities, they want to have because this is a covered street. It's not a building, so this is a street, and they have covered that street because here it rains a lot, it's too cold, and they have these nice buildings. And what if we create a roof? And they did it. And now this is the same idea that Norman Foster did in the British Museum, and it's the same idea that other architects designed in Madrid. But it's always about copying things. Well, so our own version of this kind of, it's very simple. We don't have a nice building underneath, but we're going to work with it. Now we have to work with a family, because this is, we have the idea, okay, so we have a shape like this. We are dividing this shape in different parts, but this is not architecture yet. Now we need to make it feasible, and we need to create something that can be built. So we need the material, we need the glass, and we need aluminum. So we need structural elements, and we need glass. And we can do this by opening, if I create a new, and I open a family. Okay, so it's not, I'm opening a new family. And I don't know, you have to let me know here in these computers, if you have these things or these kind of families in your computer. You have this. Okay. If you don't have these families in your, I mean, remote students, if you don't have these families in your laptops, let me know. You can come here, because in these computers we have those families. But let me know, and because I can send you those families. But these are the families. Those are the yeah. So we are creating our own family. So we are not importing anything. We are using this curtain panel pattern based. Okay, so make sure that you select this one, curtain panel pattern based. And we open this, and this is a new file. It's not something that we import on the file we are working with. So this is a new layout, a new interface, and now we need to know how to work with this interface. We are going to create our own family based on a pattern, and then we will import this family into our building. And by the way, when we select this editing place, we need, okay, if we select this again, we have the U and V grid, but here you see in the properties windows, we don't have any pattern. If you display or you click here, we can see all the things that we can do with Revit automatically. We can turn this into octagons, or we can turn this into arrows, or hexagons, or whatever. Let's keep it simple, and let's create a rectangular pattern. Okay, but if you look at the things that we are looking at, yeah, for example, here you see that we have different patterns here, and now you can do this with Revit. Okay, so we can create these triangular patterns, just changing the pattern that we're using here in Revit. So let's keep it simple, and let's work with rectangles. This is connected to, or this has to be connected to this family. Here you see that this pattern, sorry? No. This pattern has to be connected to this. If we have a rectangle here, we would need a rectangle there. Okay, and we are using octagons there, so we can use octagons or hexagons or triangles or rhomboids. But make sure that this pattern is the same as the pattern you are creating with this family. Otherwise, it won't work. Okay, so we're going to do something very, very simple. But we need to understand what this is. So this is the pattern itself. We can change this pattern. And those are the intelligent objects. Okay, so by doing this object, if we select this point, I want to select the point, and if we move it, you see that the rest of the lines are adapting to this movement. So this is what parametric design is about. Okay, so we are creating something with this shape, and then Revit will immediately understand that these 4 points belong to the intersections of this pattern that we have here. And no matter how twisted this element is, we will be following. You will be following this pattern. Okay, so let's work with this family. But this is what you have to understand. Now we are creating a family that has this rectangular shape. And if we have a rectangle here, we can connect this rectangular shape to those rectangles, even if they are not rectangles because they are twisted. Okay? But we are connecting these points, these intelligent points, to our grid. Okay, so let's create something very simple. And first, I'm going to set, okay, because as you can see here, we have a point, and in this point, we have like different planes. So we can work in different directions. We can work in something parallel to the floor, or something parallel to this line, or something parallel to that line. So I want to set this plane, okay, because I want to create something that goes through this line. So I want to work in this perpendicular plane. So I select set here. Well, before doing this, let me draw a rectangle. And now, as we have set that element, this rectangle is in that plane. You see? So we have created this rectangle on that plane. And now, if I select the rectangle and I select one of the sides and I create form, there you go. I'll do it again with this one. Okay, so I want to create a different, well, I'm going to do that in this direction. So I want to create a different element in this direction. So first I want to set, and now I have to select this one, perpendicular to that direction. Okay, now if I work a rectangle here, the rectangle is in this perpendicular plane. And now I have to select the rectangle and the line, but by default, I select everything. So I have to deselect this, this, and that. And then if I create a solid form, the rectangle goes in that direction. I'll do it again, don't worry, with different shapes and with different options. But now we have created our first outstanding Revit family, curtain wall based. And we can save it. So we can file, save as, it's a family, and let's place it in our folder. Where is it? This one. Okay, this is today's. And this is family one. Well, again, if you, all your families are family one, family two, family three, we are, so this is a curtain wall. Square. One. And we save it. And now we load it into the project. And now the family is here. It's in this project. If you have different projects open, Revit asks you, do you want me to load this family into this project or this project? And you have to select the right one. So here we select this mass, edit in place, we select this again, and now you see that we have the rectangle, and we have this CW square 01 here. It's already there. I click and there you go. Now it has a thickness. So we have created those elements, and those are like curtain wall mullions. Amazing. And then we can finish mask, and this is it. So we have created this element with this roof and those structural elements. I'll do it again. So I have this family here. I have already saved it. So I'm closing this family now. But the family is still here because I have already saved that family. So I'm going to file new family, English Imperial, this curtain panel pattern based. Open. Yep. So we have this. We stick to the rectangular shape so far. And now I'm going to do something different. I'm going to create a circular element. So if I'm working with the circular element, first I have to set this. I select this. And now I can draw a circle. So if I select this point as a base point, and I have a circle like this, and now I want to select the circle. I want to select all these, and let's do it. I want to create a form here, solid form, and I have the circle all around this. Okay, so I don't select just the line. I am selecting the four lines here, and I can save this family. Save as family. And this is curtain wall, this is circular, and it's 4 sides. And save it. Now I load it into the project. And on this project, if I select this shape, edit in place, select it again. So here I can find all the families that I have done. So I have done this before, and now I'm going to change, and if everything goes well, now it should, it changes. Well, it's too thin, but you see that it has changed, and now we have the circular elements here. Okay, so that's great because with if we create this family, we save it, and then we upload this family into the project, and then, well, circular, it's fine, but what if I select this one? Okay, this is thicker, it's circular, but it's thicker. No, I don't think so. I'll go to the square one. And now you can try different options with the same mass. So we have the shape of the roof. We have divided this into different parts. And now we can create different shapes for this. And everything is editable. And if I'm not sure about the distance or the number of segments, I can change that in the family. Adapt to this. As long as we are using a rectangular pattern, it doesn't have to be square. It doesn't have to be with the dimension. So it can be anything as long as it's a rectangular pattern. And we are matching the rectangular pattern in our project with the rectangular pattern of our family. Okay, but I told you that we were going to do something with aluminum and glass. Okay, so I'm going to close this family and I'm going to create a new one. File, new, family, English. You see all the options that we have. We're just exploring the curtain panel pattern based, but probably in other exercises we will explore other options. But there are other ones. Curtain panel. So now I want, what do I want now? Okay, I'm going to combine a rectangle and a circle. I'm going to set on this plane a rectangle, and then it works as any other Revit object. I can move it, I can copy. So this is the first one, and I want this in this direction. So I want this. I will select these two lines and I create form. I'm able to create from, okay. So if I want to do this, I have to copy this shape here. Okay. And now I can select this and this line and create a solid form. And now I can select this and this line and create a solid form. Okay, so these two lines are rectangular, and I want the other lines to be a circle. Let's do it. So first I have to set, and now I have to select this one. And here I can draw a circle. Well, I think I selected the wrong one. Set, select this one, draw a circle. We have to be careful, and sometimes, yeah, so set, make sure that you select this one, and then select this, draw on work plane, because this is so small that sometimes we get confused. So now we are sure that we are working on the plane. Okay, but make sure that this, make sure that you are working well with this, because it makes a huge difference if you are doing wrong. And now I want to move it down. Let's move it down. I think one would be enough. Now I select this one. I want to select only this line. And I can create a form. So now I have a square and a circular element here. But I want more now. I want to create so I'm going to select these 4 lines, and I'm going to create a solid form. Okay, so as you can see here, we can create either a plane or we can create something solid. So I have to select something solid, and now I can make it as thin as possible, because this is going to be the glass. Well, here we have the positive offset. So let's say that this is 1. Well, I want to select, be careful because here you are selecting just this plane. I want to select the whole element, but now I have to filter and I want to select only the curtain panel, not the reference line. And with this one, now I can be accurate and I want this to be 1 inch. Okay, so now I have this element, which is 1 inch. And now we want to change the material. So I filter again, select the curtain panel, and on this one, I can select material. And I can type here glass. And now it's transparent. Can I do the same thing with other elements? I can select this and this. I can change the material. And I don't know, what do we want? Wood. We don't have wood. We don't have aluminum. Well, we have other material libraries. We're not going to do that because it would be much more complicated. At least we have something that it's glass, it's transparent, and we have something that it's solid. I have to upload other libraries for materials. I'm not going to do it right now. But this family, it's a little bit more complicated than others. So I can file, save it, another family. And this is, I don't know, square 2. And I can load it into the project. And now I can change the family. And there you go. Yeah, so here goes something that this is rectangular and this is circular. And this is the glass. Well, I don't know if the glass is in the right position, but anyway, we have everything that we have done here. So we want it. So we have the rectangular shape in this direction, the circular shape in the other direction, and we have a glass panel, which is transparent. Okay. We finish mass. And that's it. Are you working with this? Any issues with that? Or? Okay, so now I want to do something a little bit more complicated, and I want to create that roof. And I want to connect these two waves, and I want to create a roof like this, and I want to, probably I will create another family for this shape. Okay, so let's do it. Now I have to go to massing and site, in place, mass. I have to set, but first, sorry, I need to know the grids. Okay, so now I'm working in this reference plane. Well, I don't know if you remember that we were not, because we wanted like an overhang, and we created these two reference plane. This one, 1 minus 6, and this one was 3 plus 6. Okay, so when we are working now with the mass, in place mass, okay, so first we have to set this, and this is on reference plane, the 1 minus 6, this one. And now I have to pick lines. I'm not drawing lines. I have to pick lines here. And now I'm picking this. Oh, by the way, I think that reference plane is here. Yeah, so I have to pick lines. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. I have to set a different plane now, which is 3 plus 6. Pick lines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And now I think I can create a solid form, and it doesn't work. Great. Yeah, well, it doesn't work because I have selected only. Okay, I'll try again. Well, because I have to select this and that. And now I can create a solid form. There you go. Okay, I'll do it again. So you remember that we had these two waves, like this. Okay, and now on level 1, yeah, so this is the reference plane. This is 1 minus 6. Yeah, so this is 1 minus 6. So I have to go mass against side, hit place mass, set 1 minus 6, pick lines, and then I have to select all these lines. Hold control while you're selecting things, because otherwise it won't work. Then we have to set a different plane, 3 plus 6, and now I have to select all these shapes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now I have to click modify. I select this one and control that one, create form, solid form. So it's I told you that it's not just, you have to get used to doing this because you have to hold control, you have to select everything, and then you have to set the plane. So it's not knowing how to do it. It's like driving. So if every time you are driving your car, you say, okay, what was the brake and what was the accelerator? I don't remember. And now you get used to it, and then you don't have to think. So with Revit, it's the same. If you do this thousands of times, then you don't have to think how to do it. If you do it only just 2 or 3 times, every time you open, so what do I have to do? First, I had to select this, or I had to set the plane, or I had to, it's a question of practice. Anyway, we finished mass. And now, if we select the mass, we edit in place. Make sure that you select the mass, because if you select this line, this edge, it's not working. So you have to select the mass, and then you can divide the surface. Okay. So we can divide the surface, and now we can control different elements. We have to create a pattern, a rectangular pattern. You can change the number of elements of the grid. But look at this, we're working just with this one. And then we can load one of the families that we have already created. Which one? Let's work with this one first. There you go. Okay, if you remember, we did something very similar last time, but the procedure was completely different. Okay, so there are different ways that if you want to do something, so there are different ways to do it. Using massing and site, but to do something like that, we didn't use any families, or we didn't create any families a few weeks ago. We did it in a different way. Okay, that's fine. But that's it. And well, we can go crazy and we can create different, now it's a rectangular pattern, and I'm creating a different family now, this one. Okay, so this one is the one with the glass, with the rectangular and the circular one, and the glass on it. Does it make any sense having different families on a continuous roof? It doesn't make any sense, but just to show you that we are free to do whatever we feel like. And anytime we can edit this, we can change the grid. Okay, so that's something beautiful about working with this kind of parametric design, because we know two simple things. We know that we are working with a rectangular pattern, and we know that we are working with a rectangular family, and those points will adapt to whatever shape we are creating here, as long as it belongs to a rectangular pattern. Okay, so knowing this, we can do anything. If we are working with a different pattern here, if we want to work with the hexagon, can we click here, and can we load one of the families that we have created? I hope we can. Yeah. Well, it doesn't pay you any attention, so the Revit is thinking, okay, this is not a rectangular, an octagonal, or an hexagonal pattern. So if you want the family, this is this family is for a rectangular pattern. It's not for an hexagonal one. Okay, we don't have any classwork. Just try this, and for the final exercise, it doesn't mean that we are going to model a building with this, but in some parts of the building, there will be something like that. Okay, so you will have to use the Matlin site, and then you will have to create a family, and then you will have to adapt your family to your pattern. But we're not working with a building made of these kind of shapes. We will use this just in a particular element of that building, and we can use this feature. But today I want to show you something else. Okay, so now you know how to create families, or at least you know how to work with this curtain, panel, curtain based, whatever. And it's quite simple, unless we don't go crazy. There are a lot of people working for us, and this is something that you have to realize. We don't have to create, anytime we're working with a project and we want to do something, we don't have to create it from scratch. We can ask curtain walls, for curtain wall companies, what is the most famous curtain wall family on earth? Curtain wall company. No clue. Okay, these guys, Shuko, it's not with a K, it's a C. Okay, so those guys from Germany, they are outstanding facade engineers, and they come up with different ideas, different models for curtain walls, for double glazing, triple glazing. We don't have to do this anytime we're designing something. We don't have even to copy this kind of details. I told you that designing curtain walls, it's quite complicated, and there are a lot of small pieces involved in that design, and we need to break the thermal bridge, and they have already solved it. So there are people in Germany devoting their lives to create a better curtain wall design. We have to make the most of it, because I'm sure that in Schuko curtain walls, they already have Revit families. They do. Okay, so if we are looking for something special, we can either find it on the internet, and if it doesn't work, if you don't find a Schuko curtain wall for free, you can contact them. Schuko contact. Okay, so you can email them, or you can go to Newington, Connecticut, and then you can talk to them. And okay, I'm an architect. I'm working in a skyscraper in Keene, New Hampshire, and I want Revit families for your curtain walls. Okay, what kind of curtain wall? And they will send you for free one of these families. Believe me, it happens. It's true. They are willing to contact architects and provide them with all these families for free, for sure. Because if you have a Schuko family, then you will in the project description you will state that you need a Schuko curtain wall, because this is what you are working with. Okay? We are creating our own families, but that's fine as long as we are doing something for the school. But if we were working for the professional world, we need to contact these professional firms or companies, and they are willing to provide us with their families. So make the most of it. And even now, don't tell them, no, I'm an architecture student, I'm a freshman architecture student. They won't pay you any attention. So you have to think, you have to pretend that you're an architect and you are involved in a $10 million project. I don't mean that you have to lie, but just be optimistic. Okay, so this is the first thing I wanted to show you today, and the second thing is